Good morning, boys and girls. I'm Eleanor Hawkins, and welcome to Telestory Time. The Library, a Magic Castle. Come to the Magic Castle when you are growing tall. Rows upon rows of word windows line every single wall. Oh, they reach up high as the sky, and you want to open them all, for every time you open one, a new adventure has begun. The Library, a Magic Castle. And now, boys and girls, you know tomorrow is a very special day. Yes, it is Grandparents' Day. And you know I've chosen stories this morning all about grandmas and grandpas. And the very first one I want to read is entitled Teddy Bear of Bumpkin Hollow. Teddy was a little brown bear. He was just about the cutest little brown bear that ever lived in Bumpkin Hollow. But he had one very bad habit. No matter what his mama told him to do, he wanted to do just the opposite. If Mama Bear said, "Teddy, it's time to come in and eat lunch now," Teddy would stay right where he was and play and play. If Mama Bear said, "Teddy, it's time to go to sleep now," he would just open his eyes as wide and say, "But Mama, I'm not sleepy." No matter what Mama wanted him to do, he didn't want to do it. Why, if Mama told him to be a good boy and smile, he would make the most awful face. Well, it was enough to scare Sammy Squirrel right out of his skin. Even Willie Woodpecker stopped pecking holes in the white pine tree and hid his head under his left wing when Teddy made a face like that. Mama and Papa Bear talked about Teddy's strange behavior one evening after Teddy was sound asleep. "Well, now just what will we do?" Mama Bear said, completely exasperated. "I'm sure I do not know," said Papa. "He is getting too big to spank." "Spanking doesn't do a bit of good anyway," said Mama. "Making him stand in the corner doesn't do any good. Putting him to bed in the middle of the day doesn't do any good either." "I don't know," said Papa. "I really don't know just what to do." Mama Bear thought a long time. Finally she said, I know exactly what to do." "Well, what?" asked Papa Bear. "What does Teddy like to do very best of everything?" Mama asked him. "Why, go across Bumpkin Hollow, up Blue Lupine Hill, down through Bobcat Canyon, and way up on Chocolate Mountain to visit Grandma and Grandpa Bear," said Papa. "Then we shall go to Chocolate Mountain tomorrow morning," Mama said. But we shall wait to see if Teddy goes or if Teddy stays at home." "But he can't stay at home alone," said Papa. "No, of course not. But Cousin Amanda will be glad to come and stay with him. I know," said Mama. Early the next morning, Mama called to Teddy. "Hurry, Teddy, the sun is up, and it's time for little bears to be up too." Teddy didn't even grunt. Mama called him again, but still he didn't wake up. Mama had to call him 6 times because, of course, he didn't want to do anything he was told to do. After breakfast, Mama gave him a shiny red bucket. "Now go over to Honey Bee Hive," she said, "and get this bucket full of the very best mountain flower honey. Take the short path and not the long one through the green woods," she warned. "Now hurry, Teddy. If you are back by 10 o'clock, you will have a very pleasant surprise. If you are not back by then, you will be very sorry." "Oh, what is the surprise?" asked Teddy. Oh, Teddy loves surprises. "I can't tell you now," said Mama, "or it wouldn't be a surprise any longer. Now run along and remember, don't go through the woods." Teddy ran down the path swinging the shiny red bucket. Soon he came to the little twisted path that went under the wild grapevines and into the woods. Teddy stopped. Oh, how he did love to go through the green woods and wade in the icy mountain stream. "Oh dear," said Teddy, "what shall I do? I wonder what the old surprise is anyway." He just stood there swinging his bucket. "I'll hurry," said Teddy. "I'll run as fast as I can. Then it won't take me any longer to go through the woods than to go by the short path." And Teddy crawled under the wild grapevines and scampered down the little twisted path into the green woods. Now soon he came to the icy mountain stream. "I'll just take a minute to splash in it," he said to himself. And then he saw Mr. Bullfrog on a rock. "Good morning," croaked Mr. Frog. "I'm so glad to see you, Teddy Bear. I have been learning a new song. Do sit down and listen and tell me just what you think of it." Teddy sat down on the cool green bank and wiggled his toes in the icy water. Mr. Frog croaked his very loudest. "Now what do you think of that?" he asked when he was through. "Oh, that is fine," said Teddy. "That is a very fine song." "Well, now let me sing you another," said Mr. Bullfrog. "Oh no," said Teddy, suddenly remembering the surprise. "I must hurry over to Honey Bee Hive." And so he went. Now, just as Teddy was coming out of the green forest, he met Timothy Black Bear. Timothy was also on his way to Honey Bee Hive. Timothy and Teddy raced and played tag all the way up the hill. They were so tired by the time they came to Honey Bee Hive that they sat down on an old pine log to rest. And soon they were fast asleep. Teddy began to snore. Well, Mr. Honeybee didn't like that terrible noise going on right under his beehive. He flew out in an awful rage and stung Teddy right on the end of his little black nose. "Here's your honey," he said. "Now go on home." Oh, Mr. Honeybee was very cross. Teddy snatched up the shiny red bucket of honey and ran howling down the path. He didn't turn off into the woods this time. He just ran straight for home as fast as his short little legs would carry him. He wanted Mama Bear to put some soft black mud on his nose to take the sting away. But when Teddy got home, Mama Bear wasn't anywhere to be found. Papa Bear wasn't anywhere either. And there on Mama Bear's favorite chair sat Cousin Amanda. When Teddy saw her, he wailed, "Where's my mama? I want my mama." "Oh," said Cousin Amanda, "your mama and papa left here at 10 o'clock this morning. They went across Bumpkin Hollow, up Lulu Pine Hill, down through Bobcat Canyon, and way up on Chocolate Mountain to visit Grandma and Grandpa Bear. You could have gone with them if you'd been back on time." Now, Teddy Bear didn't know what to do. He just stood there for a minute looking very, very sad. And then he ran over to his little soft bed, buried his head under the pine needle pillow, and cried and cried and cried. Now, late that afternoon, Mama Bear and Papa Bear came home. Teddy had been thinking. When he saw Mama Bear, he ran to her. He put his arms around her. "I won't ever be a naughty little bear again," he promised. "Oh, of course you won't," said Mama Bear. "Look what Grandma Bear sent home for you. Big chocolate cookies with white sugar frosting. And you know she wants you to come and see her next week." And boys and girls, you know, Teddy went and had a wonderful time with Grandma. This is the story of Teddy Bear of Bumpkin Hollow. And now, boys and girls, stay tuned. And we'll be back to read the Big Do You Know book to you in just a moment. And now, boys and girls, I'm going to read from our big Do You Know book. Do you know National Grandparents' Day is a secular holiday celebrated in the United States and in the United Kingdom since 1978? Do you know National Grandparents' Day is always the first Sunday after Labor Day, and that is tomorrow? Do you know that the month of September was chosen as the autumn time of life? And now let me tell you the story. Back in 1970, Marion McQuaid, a housewife in Oak Hill, West Virginia, came up with the idea of a day set aside for families visiting elder relatives. With a firm resolve to make it happen, she began lobbying policymakers to make her dream come true. Do you know she convinced West Virginia Senators Jennings Randolph and Robert Byrd to introduce the resolution to make Grandparents' Day a national holiday? But it took a long while. Do you know in 1978, the resolution declaring the first Sunday after Labor Day, National Grandparents' Day, was passed? It was passed by Congress. But do you know President Jimmy Carter then signed it into law in 1979? And so we have celebrated it for many years now. Boys and girls, do something special for your grandparents tomorrow and have a good time visiting with your family on this very special day. And be sure and visit your library next week, any of the libraries in the Craven, Pamlico, Carteret Regional Library System. Check out some very good books on your very own library card. And now stay tuned, and we'll be back with another grandmother story. Stay tuned. And now, boys and girls, I'm going to read you the story Time with Grandma. Tell us a story, Grandma. Please, Grandma, show us your pictures. Brother, sister, and baby Bunny were gathered around Grandma Bunny on the front porch swing, their very favorite place to be when they visited at Grandma and Grandpa Bunny's house. All right, but you must sit very still and listen. My stories are all memories, and one day you will tell these same stories to your grandchildren. But Grandma, we don't have any grandchildren, Brother Bunny said in a confused tone. Oh, Grandma smiled, but one day you will, she said. These are my oldest pictures, said Grandma Bunny. Why does she have the umbrella up, Grandma? It isn't raining. Oh, to keep the sun off her face, Grandma said, pointing. Those were your great-grandparents, my mother and father. And this is a picture of me when I was a baby bunny, just like you, Grandma smiled, squeezing baby Bunny's cheek. But in her picture she wore a long dress and a large white bonnet, and her ears were very big. Well, why were your ears so long? Sister Bunny asked. I just needed to grow into them, said Grandma Bunny. Now this picture of Grandpa Bunny was taken right after we first met. Your grandpa always came around with a bunch of carrots or parsley, trying to win my heart, Grandma remembered fondly. Well, why did he want your heart? Brother Bunny asked. Hurry and turn the page, Grandma. I want to see me. Sister Bunny was not very patient today. Now just wait, you don't come along for quite a while, Grandma Bunny smiled as she slowly turned the page. I'll never forget when this picture was taken. Grandpa invited me to the church picnic down by the river. Oh, it was a beautiful warm day, and we decided to take a walk along the edge of the water. Grandpa Bunny tried to show off for me, and he slipped on a rock and fell right in. Oh, all the bunny bunch laughed when they saw the picture of Grandpa. Is this your wedding picture, Grandma? Brother Bunny asked. Oh, yes, Grandma answered as they looked at a picture of a very young Grandpa and Grandma all dressed up. Oh, it was a beautiful picture. I want to see me, said Sister Bunny as she tried again to lift the corner of the album. Wait, it isn't time yet, Grandma said. Now the next page had a picture of Grandma and Grandpa with a tiny baby bunny in Grandma's arms. Now this is your father. He was just a little baby here. He used to love to drink carrot juice, almost as good as milk. Well, said Sister Bunny, he has big ears too. Now here is your mother and father's wedding day. Didn't your father look handsome? I guess, but where is the picture of me? Sister Bunny said. It's coming up next. On the next page was a picture of two baby bunnies. Both of them had very, very big ears. Well, now that isn't us, said Sister Bunny. My ears aren't that big now. Brother Bunny laughed. We just had to grow into them, I guess. Now this is the best picture of all, Grandma, said Sister Bunny. It was a picture of the whole bunny bunch together. Oh, I do love your story time. Well, let's do it again, said Brother Bunny. Oh, it'll be my pleasure, said Grandma. I have plenty of memories to share. And that, boys and girls, is the story of Story Time with Grandma. And now stay tuned, and we'll be back with another story in just a moment. And now, boys and girls, I'm going to read you the story, Pel's New Suit. There was once a little Swedish boy whose name was Pel. Oh, he had a lamb which was all his own and which he took care of all by himself. The lamb grew and Pel grew, and the lamb's wool grew longer and longer, but Pel's coat only grew shorter. One day, Pel took a pair of shears and cut off all the lamb's wool. And then he took the wool to his grandmother and said, "Granny dear, please comb out this wool for me." "Oh, that I will do, my dear," said Grandmother, "if you will pull the weeds in my carrot patch for me." So Pel pulled the weeds in the Granny's carrot patch, and Granny combed out Pel's wool. Then Pel went to his other grandmother and said, "Grandma dear, please spin the wool into yarn for me." "Oh, that I will do, my dear," said his grandmother, "if while I'm spinning, you will tend my cows for me." So Pel tended Grandmother's cows, and Grandmother spun Pel's yarn. Then Pell went to a neighbor who was a painter and asked him for some paint with which to color his yarn. "What a silly little boy you are," laughed the painter. "My paint is not what you want to color your wool, but if you will go over to the store to get me a bottle of turpentine, you may buy yourself some dye out of the change." So Pell went over to the store and bought a bottle of turpentine for the painter and bought for himself some blue dye out of the change. Then he dyed his wool himself until it was all blue. And then Pell went to his mother and he said, "Mother dear, please weave this yarn into cloth for me." "That I will gladly do," said his mother, "if you will take care of your little sister for me." So Pell took care of his little sister, and Mother wove the wool into cloth. Then Pell went to the tailor. "Dear Mr. Tailor, please make a suit for me out of this cloth." Is that what you want, you little rascal?" said the tailor. "Indeed I will, if you will rake my hay and bring in my wood and feed my pigs for me." So Pell raked the tailor's hay and fed his pigs, and then he carried in all the wood, and then the tailor had Pell's suit ready that very next Saturday evening. And on Sunday morning, Pell put on his new suit and went to his lamb and said, "Thank you very much for my new suit, little lamb." "Bah," said the lamb, and it sounded almost as if the lamb were laughing. And that is the story of Pell's new suit. And now, boys and girls, I'd like to read you one of my favorite poems, and it is entitled, "When Mother Reads Aloud." When Mother reads aloud, the past seems real as every day. I hear the tramp of armies vast. I see the spears and lances cast. I join the thrilling fray. Brave knights and ladies, fair and proud, meet when Mother reads aloud. When Mother reads aloud, far lands seem very near and true. I cross the desert's gleaming sands, or hunt the jungle's prowling bands, or sail the ocean blue. Far heights, whose peaks the cold mist shroud, I scale when Mother reads aloud. When Mother reads aloud, I long for noble deeds to do, to help the right, redress the wrong. It seems so easy to be strong, so simple to be true. Oh, thick and fast the visions cry when my eyes, when Mother reads aloud. And that is the poem, When Mother Reads Aloud, from this book, Favorite Poems to be Read Aloud. Boys and girls, let me remind you, do something very special today for your family. Be sure and try to visit your grandparents and tell them how much you love them. And you know, Grandparents' Day is a family day that all of you must try to remember by doing very special things. And also, boys and girls, remember, visit your public library sometime during this next week. Go to any of the libraries in the Craven, Pamlico, Carter Regional Library System and check out some very good books. And so now it's time for us to close our book of stories for this morning, but we want to wish all you grandparents a very happy day today. Until next week, this is Eleanor Hawkins saying bye-bye for Telestory Time.